You're gonna spend a lot of nights in tea houses on the way to Everest Base Camp. Some are cozy, some are freezing, and some will make you question your life decisions at 3 a.m. In this video, I'm breaking down every tea house I stayed at, day by day, and rating them on Wi-Fi, food, toilets, charging, heat, and overall comfort. I'll tell you what was worth paying for, what to skip, and the little details I wish I knew in advance. And at the very end, I'll share the one thing I regret most about the entire trek. It wasn't gear, it wasn't skipping a rest day, it was something I didn't do, and I still think about. Day 1, Kathmandu. Urban comfort before the chaos. Your first night in Nepal is pure comfort, especially if you stay in the Tamil area. Kathmandu is affordable, the service is fantastic, and this is the last time you'll feel truly clean for the next 2 weeks. I had a private hotel room with an ensuite bathroom, unlimited hot water, a working heater, and even a TV. Not that I used it all. Jet lag knocked me out really quick. The Wi-Fi was reliable and fast enough for streaming, and plenty of charging outlets were in the room as well. Food-wise, you'll find everything. Local Nepali dishes, Indian curries, American-style burgers, even sushi. This is also your last good shot at eating meat, because once you're on the trail, meat becomes very risky and not a good idea. If you've got time, get a massage, drop off laundry, and definitely take advantage of the luxury while it lasts. Overall rating, 5 stars. A smooth, warm welcome to the country. Day 2 or 3, depending on how long you spend in Kathmandu. Phakding. It's a chill first stop after your hair-raising flight to Lukla and a short downhill hike. So this is your first night on the trail, and honestly, it's not bad. My tea house here was one of the nicest of the whole stays. It's also early, so earlier the stay and the trip, nicer the place. But I had a large room, a private Western toilet, and even a power outlet in the room, free of charge. Wi-Fi worked in the dining room for a small fee, and I had pretty much a sliver of self-service, though this was the last night for that. But I was able to send a few messages through just my regular carrier. Food was simple but comforting, dalbat, soups, and surprisingly good French toast. They had paid hot showers, but I skipped it since it was only day 1. And I was still feeling kind of fresh. There was no heat in the rooms, but the dining room stove kept things cozy enough. It wasn't too cold just yet, even in late November. Overall rating, 4 stars. Easy, comfortable, and a nice intro to tea house trekking. Day 4 to 5, Namche Bazaar, mountain luxury. Welcome to the Sherpa capital. Namche Bazaar feels like a bustling mountain city built into a cliff. If you're craving creature comforts at altitude, this is your place. I had a private room with an ensuite bathroom, Western toilet, and the dining room was lively with lots of trekkers, decent food, and a chance to stock up on supplies, treats, basically anything you didn't remember to pack or bring in Kathmandu. The Wi-Fi here is paid and only available in the dining room, but it worked well enough for a lot of basic messaging, even a few videos here and there on YouTube. The food was excellent, especially the bakeries. I had more French toast here, plus plenty of tea, coffee, and even some yak cheese if you're feeling bold. The town also has bars and restaurants if you want to wander outside your lodge. The paid hot shower was technically functional, heated by propane, but it would get hot, then cold, then hot again. Water pressure was definitely a drizzle, and the bathroom was freezing. So I definitely had to rent a towel. No soap was provided. So even though it says hot shower, and it technically may qualify, it's not a nice hot shower. Power outlets were available in the rooms, but the town had citywide power outages that made charging kind of a hit or miss. The dining room stoves were warm, but the rooms stayed pretty cold. Bring a good sleeping bag and plenty of nighttime layers. Overall rating, 5 stars. Despite the quirks, Namche is one of the most luxurious stops on the trail. Day 6, Phortse. Peaceful and off the grid. This is where I took the alternate route. I highly recommend it though. Instead of heading to the crowded stop in Dingboche, I went to a quiet village of Phortse. and it felt like a hidden gem. There was no Wi-Fi and no cell service, but this was kind of the point. It felt like a true mountain escape. The food was simple and homemade. Dal bhat, veggie curry, and a lot of eggs. Of course, ginger tea. Warm, hearty, and perfect for the setting. Bathrooms were shared, clean, and offered both Western and squat options. No showers here though. Charging was available in the dining room, but you had to pay. The power bank was higher than just the phone. I did both. The dining room had a yak dung stove, and while it helped during meals, there was definitely no heat in the rooms. Still, the peace and the views more than made up for the lack of amenities. Overall rating, 4 stars. Off the grid calm and incredible scenery. Day 7, Dingboche. Altitude, cramped rooms, and cold floors. By now, you're really starting to feel the altitude. Dingboche is a bigger village, but the comforts begin to drop pretty fast. My room here was tiny. I had to play Tetris with my backpack just to move around. The bathrooms were shared hallway Western toilets, but they weren't clean. Same for the shared sink. Bring your own soap and maybe a little mental fortitude. There was no shower here, not that I would have taken one. It was so freezing. Wi-Fi was available for a fee, but spotty at best. I tried once and gave up. Food was fine, dal bhat and soups. You're mostly eating to just refuel, not so much the flavor. Charging was available in the dining room for a fee behind the front desk, but just like before, the power bank charging was more expensive than just the phone charging. Bring a fully loaded brick if you can. The only heat came from the dining room stove. The rooms were ice boxes. This is where I started sleeping in all of my base layers. Jacket, hat, sleeping bag, as many sweaters as I brought, zipping up very tight. Overall rating, 3 stars. Not terrible, but altitude and cold start to take over. Day 8, extra night in Dingboche, the optional acclimatization day. If you take a rest day here, it's more the same. Some people change rooms, some tea houses offer bakery access with, paid Wi-Fi or power if you want a slightly warmer place to hang out. But if you're feeling even slightly off, take this extra day. I skipped it and I paid for it later. Acclimatization days aren't glorious, but they might keep you out of trouble higher up. Day 9, Dingboche. Big room, harsh reality. Dingboche surprised me. The room was huge. I had a queen-size bed, a desk, and more space than anywhere else on the whole trek. But that's where the comfort ends. The dining room was smoky from poor ventilation from the stove, and the smell of burning dung definitely irritated my eyes the entire time I was in the dining room. Bathrooms were shared Western style, but not clean. Same with the sink. No showers available, no Wi-Fi, but charging, yes, in the dining room, and again, power bank costs more than just your phone. The altitude hit hard here. Just walking to the bathroom had me winded. The rooms were freezing, cold enough that my water bottle had ice in the morning. Overall rating, 2 stars. Loved the room size, but hated everything else. Day 10, Gorak Shep, survival mode. If Dingboche was harsh, Gorak Shep was pure survival. This was the smallest room I had the entire trek. One tiny single bed, thin walls, and no space for gear. In the altitude, it's the highest village on the route. Almost everyone feels it. I had mild symptoms. Some trekkers were curled up in the dining room trying not to throw up. Bathrooms were the worst on the trek. Shared Western toilets, barely cleaned, and an ice-cold shared sink that didn't help. No showers, no working Wi-Fi. Charging in the dining room though, and of course, it wasn't cheap. The food was basic, soup, noodles, tea. You're not here to eat well, you're here to survive the night and reach Everest Base Camp. No room heat, dining room heat wasn't enough. This is where you dig in, deep, mentally and physically. Overall rating, 2 stars. But you don't come here for comfort, you come here for base camp. Day 11, Phortse, a breath of oxygen and relief. Coming down feels like a miracle. Phortse isn't fancy, but after Gorak Shep, it felt like a resort. I had a big room, space to unpack, and even felt human again. Bathrooms were shared, but much cleaner than they were on the way up. Still no showers, but you probably wouldn't want one anyway. Wi-Fi, I didn't even try, but I didn't see many people using it, if it means anything. I didn't see people on their phones. Charging was available in the dining room, just like everywhere else. The dining room had a yak dung stove, and it actually helped warm the space pretty well. Rooms were still cold, but felt more manageable at this altitude. Food was great, mostly soups, but your appetite starts to return and everything tastes a little better with more oxygen. Overall rating, 4 stars. It's amazing what a little air and space will do for your mood. Day 12, Namche Bazaar, again. Returning to civilization. Coming back to Namche is like stepping into a dream. The rooms are still cold, the power still cuts out, and the hot shower is somehow worse than last time. But it doesn't matter. You're lower, you're alive, and you've done something incredible. I had the same room as before. I paid for the shower, and it was pretty lukewarm and cold pretty fast. Most of the hot water had already been used, I think by a bunch of trekkers before me, so take that into account. But I didn't care, I was just happy to feel clean again. Overall rating, 5 stars. Mountain luxury feels even better on the way down. Day 13, Lukla, victory lap. Your final night on the trail. Lukla Teahouses are back to being semi-comfortable. I had a big double room, an ensuite toilet, and even a private shower. Now let me be clear, the shower was either scalding hot or freezing cold. And the air was really icy, so I didn't exactly enjoy it, but it was better than nothing. No soap, but they did provide a towel for her feet. Dining room had heat, but the ventilation was awful. All the smoke from the stove just hung out in the air. Same problem as Lobuche. The Wi-Fi did work. Charging was free in the room. Food was solid. A great final dinner before your flight back. Overall rating, 4 stars. Not perfect, but after the week you just had, it feels like the Ritz. All right, here it is, my biggest tea house regret. It wasn't what I ate or where I slept. It was what I didn't do. I didn't stargaze enough. I let the cold stop me. I told myself I needed to rest, needed to recover, and I only peeked outside once. But what I saw, the sky exploded with stars. You can actually see the outline of the Himalayan mountains in total black. A jagged silhouette carved out of starlight. It's the kind of thing you can't even photograph. You can only feel it in person. So if you're trekking to Everest Base Camp, hear me on this. No matter how cold you are, no matter how tired, go outside and stargaze every night. It's something you'll never forget, and if you skip it, something you'll never stop thinking about. There's the full tea house breakdown. What to expect, what to tolerate, and what you'll eventually learn to laugh about. One quick tip to keep in mind, the better your trekking company, the better your tea house experience. Bigger companies spend more money at each stop, so they get perks like private rooms, better dining room spots, and sometimes even earlier meals. It makes a difference. If you want more tips like this, check out my full Everest Base Camp video series. I cover every leg of the trek with all the real-world details you won't find in the brochures. And if this video helped, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Travel smart and travel far.